Good evening, welcome to Wendy's Perfume Diary. So now I'm very thrilled for today's special episode as I have a perfumer from Malaysia in the house. So let's welcome Madam Fazila Nordin from Malay Perfumery. So Madam Fazila, how are you?
Hi, I'm okay, I guess. I just got my second vaccine yesterday, so today a
Oh,
bit, yeah, not feeling like like something's not
yeah,
right.
the the effects of the second dose.
Like, yeah, that's true.
I hope you
But
will be fine.
yeah,
You
but
will feel fine later.
otherwise I'm okay.
So from what I've learned from your website and also from smelling your perfumes, Malay Perfumery is an artisanal house from Malaysia, which aims to evoke the heritage of ethnic Malays in scents combined with French perfumery techniques. And from what I've learned, Malay Perfumery is based in Malaysia and it is located in Rembau, Negeri Sembilan. And Madam Fazila, you are the founder of the house. And for all of you who are tuning in, I have to really express my admiration and also how much I adore the scents that she makes. Now, before we talk about the house, Madam, can you share with us your earliest scent memory?
Um, I think I the earliest thing that I remember smelling and having an impact on me was my grandmother's flower garden. I used to spend a lot of school holidays at her house, and in the daytime, in the evenings, we would go out to the garden, and there were jasmines and roses and kenanga and pandan. So there were lots of things to pluck and smell, and my sister and I would just uh, take turns sniffing this and that and all that, and that I think um, makes me creates the background for all my perfumes right now. So it started from, I think, from that moment.
I think I really I do have to agree with you because from the sense that I have experienced from your collection, it's really like a being in a tropical Malaysian garden.
Right.
So another question, I'm always curious, how did you get into making perfumes?
um, I think initially I like to write. I'm
Oh,
actually a writer. I like to write a lot. I have been writing since school days. So in writing you have to be able to describe something.
yeah,
So I tried to describe how we see things. That is, how descriptive abilities in what you see, or descriptive abilities in what you hear,
yeah,
or what you
right,
feel, like rough, soft, smooth, and so on. But
yes.
when it comes to sense of smell, it's very difficult to describe what is it that you're smelling. So in order to be a better writer, I tried to practice by smelling things and trying to describe them. So I started to buy samples, all sorts samples of perfumes, and I start to write how it
Oh,
smells like, and it's like a mini review, but sometimes it's very short, and I have not published it anywhere, not in any blog. But
I,
right,
maybe you could share with us on Fragrantica your reviews.
yeah, maybe. But yeah, mostly so it started like that, and after a while, I think after smelling a few hundred perfumes,
Mm-mm.
practicing to write, I think eventually I felt like, I'm missing something. There's something that I have not smelled before. I want something that I have not smelled before, but it's so close to me, and I think that's what's missing. When I feel that it's Malay sense fragrances from the Malay world
Yeah,
is missing in perfumery. So
yes, true.
I thought, well, yeah, why not? I just give it a try, and one thing leads to another, and now now you got Malay Perfumery.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, really nail it in Fleur de Rumbai. I really like this one. I'm wearing this one now, in fact. So, another question that I want to ask you, what makes you kickstart a career Just now you said that you just wanted to, try an error, and one thing leads to another. It becomes a business in perfumery. And my question is, what makes you start a career, a real serious business in perfumery?
The first perfume that I made is Fleur de Rampai, as you know, and trying to make Fleur de Rampai when you have no, when I had no perfume perfumery background, it's actually
Uh-huh.
very difficult. Even today, I still feel that if just one or two of those materials in Fleur de Rampai is out of stock or discontinued
Oh,
or whatever, it's going to be very difficult to recreate that scent. So, but when I finally did it, when I finally created Fleur de Rampai, something that smells like exactly like the bunga rampai, but lasts long and doesn't it's not an interpretation of something. It's a real thing. It does smell like exactly like bunga rampai. So when I got that, and I let my family have a sniff, and they said that, oh, this is really something that I could go far with that. So I thought I'd try a second one, and then a third one, and before you know it, I was thinking about logos, and I was thinking about the bottles, and all sorts of things came into play after I've made two or three.
oh, so it's like you start making the sense first, and then only after that you start thinking about the logo, the bottle designs, how to
Yeah,
spell it out, and all that.
yes. It was
Interesting.
only after that, because before that I did not think that I could. It was never about business initially.
Oh yeah,
Mm, yeah, but it's just like something that one thing
it
leads to
started
another.
from passion, right? So one personal question: what is your personal favorite note in perfumery?
Uh, I have a lot of notes that I like. I like florals, but I think if something that I could never put aside is, I think, is ambergris. I don't think I cannot resist ambergris.
Oh, note. Is that note play an important part in the DNA of Malay perfumery?
Um, yes, in a way, I do include um, quite like maybe half of the entire range has ambergris in it, but it doesn't have it as a main note. That means I
Oh
include
yeah.
as a way to deepen the fragrance and to make it last longer, to give it some depth, basically. Yeah, I need to balance things out sometimes, so I add in the ambergris to do that.
Do you mind to, for some of the viewers who have no idea what is ambergris, do you mind share a little bit about that note?
Ambergris is somewhat papery. I mean, on its own, right? Okay, just pure ambergris um, in ethanol would smell like papery. I feel like it's got that new paper sort of smell, a little bit woody, a little
Oh,
bit of of the sea, a bit of the ocean, and a bit. I mean, it's got a lot of thing going on depending on what type of ambergris you've got. There's the white ambergris, or there's the normal black ambergris. So depending, right? And some are more floral, but the note itself is not the main component in Malay perfumery. What I do is I include it as a way to balance out the other
yeah,
materials.
yeah, right. So
Because
another,
ambergris can be very expensive.
oh
Because
yeah, true. Ambergris is a very expensive material. Yeah. Another personal question again. So who is your favorite perfumer, and what is your favorite perfume?
um, wow. Before I became a perfumer, I think I like Francis Kirk John. Before I became perfumer, I thought
All
his
right.
creations were wonderful. They were different. They're just long lasting. Nowadays, he has his own. house, Maison
Yeah.
Francisco Jan, MFK.
Yeah.
But I think after I became a perfumer, I feel like there is not one single perfumer that I have more preference over the other. I think all
Mm.
perfumers are are wonderful in their own way. They are extremely talented. It is not easy to be a perfumer as well as a business owner. um, and a lot of perfumers, they they do one or the other. Either they become perfumer for someone else, for some other company, or they are the perfumer of their own company, but someone else will handle the business part
Yes, true,
of it.
true.
Yeah, so they can't have handle both. I think it's quite a tall order. So
Yes, true.
I don't think I have a favorite uh, perfume, favorite fragrance, but I think I've always been drawn to aquatic scents. I know a lot of people don't like aquatic, but I do. I like aquatic, and I like amber. And if it's amber and aquatic as well, then it's just yeah, that's me.
Just the best combination.
Yeah.
All right. Now, a lot of us are curious to know about your inspirations, and we would like to know what inspires you to create all these artistic perfumes in your collection.
Um, Usually it's from reading. I read a lot.
Oh,
Okay. Yeah. I read a
yeah,
lot.
you're a writer.
Yeah, I read the stories, lots of
Mm.
stories, and sometimes from songs, history, from travel, from museums. I like to go to museums as well. So sometimes just visit the smaller museums. Like if we go, I travel a lot, so within Malaysia, so there are always these small museums like museum in Negeri Sembilan or museum in
Yeah,
Melaka.
true, true. Yes.
There are small museums that no one really goes to, but I
Yeah,
like.
true.
And then of course, I always have conversations with people. I will talk, talk to people. I would run through some ideas that I have in my mind about certain things or certain stories. Or sometimes all folks have an abundance of stories in them. They'll say, "Oh yeah, when I was younger, there was so and this and that, and this happened and that happened, and my grandparents,
Oh,
their own grandparents, were telling them about this and that." So when I get all this information, sometimes it sparks something in my mind, and that is where I get inspiration to make perfumes. I don't get it just by sitting at my studio, or just faced with all that material. I don't think I'm not that kind of creator. I've got to go out. um, Basically, I have to imagine. I have to put myself, like my mind and myself, imagine that I am somewhere else,
oh,
in an ancient place or ancient time or ancient world, and I try to imagine what it smells like at that time
oh.
when something is happening, and
Mm-hmm.
see if I can replicate that smell. So basically, it starts with a brief.
Imagination.
Yeah, with an imagination. So the imagination is actually a project brief. A brief,
Uh-uh.
what I want to what I want it to smell like. I want it to smell like
Okay.
someone's palace, or someone's garden, or someone's whatever it is, right? And then it could be also a name,
Mm-hmm.
what someone
Mm-hmm.
was
Mm-hmm.
working at. Like for example, bentara is actually a word that means that one of the people who work with the sultans, like they are on the left and on the right, and they are holding all this stuff. So yeah, so what does he smell like?
Mm-hmm.
If I look at, like, there's so many YouTube videos, and you see all these people who carry the alat-alat kebesaran, and you wonder what they smell like in those days. I mean, not today. Today
Yeah.
they maybe they were used. Well, surely they must be clean, right? So surely they must have some sort of clean and uh, tobacco smell, maybe, or whatever it is. And that's where it starts. So from there, I outline all the main notes. Okay, what I think it should smell like is
Mm-hmm.
clean, it's tobacco or it's whatever it is. And then from there I go on and I build up the entire thing. Yeah.
Oh, I see. It's interesting to know. So, usually, how long does it take for you to finally decide that, oh, it is time to release this as one of the perfumes in my collection?
I take 1 year to create something. Every one of my fragrances take 1 year. So it means whatever that I'm going to release in 2022, I am doing it in 2021. That means I have got to start it in, say, January. I've got to start creating, create a few, three, four, five, or whatever it is
Most.
that I can. No, no, perfumes, three or four different
Oh,
perfumes all at once. And then uh, I've got to, it has to go through stability test. Stability
mm-hmm.
test alone takes like 6 months. So by, I said, June or July, I should have everything done already in terms of composition. Then by July I should have the stability test, and then by December hopefully it's done, and then January I can release, or February I can release. So sometimes I do release it, sometimes I don't. It's ready, but I don't release it because
Why?
like like for example this year and last year, even last year I couldn't release because it was COVID and it didn't seem right to release
Oh, yeah.
last year. So this year, um, again, I mean, I only released it beginning of the year, but after that I felt like, the time is just not right. Sometimes you've got to read people's moods. I mean, people are not in the mood to be spending all that much on perfumes right now, maybe. But uh, it depends on things like that. But or else, if there's nothing, no, nothing like COVID or anything, then usually I do release everything that I have done. Yeah, four of three or four minimum per year.
Oh, that's right. So, so another question that I personally am very curious to know about you making perfume. In making your perfumes, what is your biggest joy?
Um, I think it is most rewarding when the perfume goes the direction that I want it to go, because I get to
Okay.
taste. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes
Yeah.
I think it's going here, but then it goes some other way, and it, it's just, it's very frustrating. But when it does happen, then it's a great feeling. And what's even more uh, I say fulfilling for me is when people smell it and they say, "Wow, this really speaks to me." This perfume is something you've never smelled before, and it speaks to me, and it reminds me of my home or my family, or it reminds me of some time, some happier times. So all those things um, contribute to that, fulfilling.
The joy, the fulfillment that you get, right?
Yes.
So, on the other hand, the other side of the coin, what is the biggest challenge that you have faced in the industry?
um, Oh, there are so many, so many challenges. I think first is knowing when to turn it from a hobby into a business.
Oh,
I think that is crucial. Sometimes people are still doing it as a hobby and not sure when to turn it into a business. Because if it's a hobby, then you can have as many materials as you like. You can experiment however you like. But when it's a business, then you've got to bear in mind that there are costs involved. There are all sorts of things involved that that uh, that people have to, that perfumers really have to pay attention to. Okay, and of course there's of course the safety aspect. If it's a hobby, then it's okay, you can use whatever amount you like of any material. But once it's a business, then you have to be mindful of how much, what is the limit of each material. There needs to
yes.
be a limit because people are going to be spraying on their skin,
Yeah.
and you don't want to have people coming up and say, "Oh, I've got this from here, and I've got rashes," and I don't think that is right. So it's different. Hobby is another thing, but business is different thing. And I think that's the first challenge. Second challenge is educating the market between
Oh,
the differences of artisan versus duplicates, or people call it dupes, and independent versus mass market. Generally in Malaysia, I don't think we have that. Um, the consumer does not know that difference yet. Okay, and
there is a
most
confusion. I think there
yes,
is a confusion.
yeah, yeah, there is a confusion, and people do think that artisan is a matter of you just put materials in a bottle, put alcohol, and that's it. It's done. It's artisan, but actually it's not. And what makes something artisan is that it is creatively done. It is a creation rather than it is like something that you can duplicate, and you can just buy ready made out of the shelf, put in alcohol, put in a bottle, and sell it off. It is not like that. Okay. And then there's also balancing between sustainability in terms of materials to make the perfume, as well as packaging, versus minimizing costs. So sustainability is also very important to me.
Yes,
Not
true.
everything I can. Not all materials are. Not all natural materials are sustainable. Some of them are not. So I do use synthetic for sustainable purposes. Um, there's no point in using something like I don't know, vanilla, Madagascar vanilla, when you know that you know this
Yeah.
sort of thing. So I think that that is also important. That's also a challenge in perfumery, and honestly, there's a lot more to learn. I'm barely scratching the surface when it comes to that. And I think the last challenge, oh, so many challenges. The last
There are
challenge
so
is
many challenges.
about making uh, wearing perfumes part of a culture. I think that here in Malaysia, it's not so much a culture. People don't really use perfumes anymore. I'm not sure whether it's been like this. I don't think so. I think at one point we were wearing a lot of perfumes in the 1960s, 1950s, but not perfumes per se in the way that we think of, like sprays, but we use in other things like our hair creams. Those days, the hair
Yeah.
creams and the this alcohol that men use on aftershaves and all that. They all have their own particular scent or particular smell. But nowadays, almost everything has no smell, or it doesn't last that long, or it's very light or ambient.
Yes,
And
very light and almost everything just smells the same.
right, yes, exactly. Everything is like lemony, citrus, or a
Yeah.
little bit of woody. So trying to make wearing fragrance as a culture in order to have people appreciate that this is an
True,
artistic
true,
creation,
true,
that
true, true.
is also a major challenge.
Of all the creations that you have made, which one do you consider your masterpiece?
I think masterpiece probably Fleur de Rampai, although I think
Mm.
all my other perfumes are. I have no, actually, the things that I have moved from when I first started, my perfumes were. I think about it myself. I think it's very basic. My earlier perfumes, you can smell that there's you can tell, oh, this is jasmine, oh, this is, oh, it's moving to wood, and it's moving. But as I created more and more and more through the years, and finally in this year's releases, most of my perfumes are becoming more um, well blended, and you can't tell it's very
Yes,
subtle. You
true,
can't
true.
tell when each note is changing. So I think in terms of how do you say it? In terms of complications, I think complicatedness, the recent ones are a lot more complicated compared to the earlier ones. But the earlier ones, the Fleur de Rampai especially, is what speaks to people the most. I think that one is not something that is easily replicated, not even
Yeah,
by me.
true. It is our fat cats in Malaysia are very curious to know if you plan to come up with other products like minis or colognes or body mist or even a more commercial line.
Mm. In terms, yes, I did. I was planning to release 15 ml, which is actually a mini 15 ml bottles,
I
but
am so
but then yeah, after we had so many lockdowns, I think
oh
I've got to push that forward, maybe next year or so when things are more stable. I think it's very difficult because my uh, everything is shut and locked down. Factories are all shut,
yeah.
so it's quite difficult to get the entire supply chain going. And I think in terms of more commercial line,
Mhm.
yes, probably, but it would not be. You would not know that it's from me. You wouldn't. It can be difficult to have people know that. Oh, it's commercial or it's more mass market. I mean, right? So if it's more mass market, but it's still by me, and people will say, oh, what's the difference? So even if I do have a mass market product, I don't think I would do it so blatantly. I mean, people would know that it's from me and it's by me. So you have to smell all the new mass markets to know.
A personal question. Out of your entire collection, which one is your personal favorite?
I like Masuri.
You like
Al-
Masuri?
Yes, although it can be loud, it can be a bit rough. I would say rough around
Yes,
the
yes.
edges.
It can be a bit rough.
Rough, yeah. It's quite unlike the latest ones like Fatima's. Fatima is strong, but still, it's still smooth and gentle, although it's strong. And Hang Ipo is also not too bad, I would think. But I think Masuri is still my favorite.
Question from our Malaysian fair cats. What is the vision of Malay Perfumery?
Okay. Basically, my vision for Malay Perfumery, I think I want it to be internationally known. I want it to be uh, not just known in Malaysia but also worldwide. I think that it is not impossible to achieve that, but it will take a lot of effort, of course, and resources. And I think I hope one day to have my own physical store. So we'll see. We'll see when
Yeah,
people can actually come and smell and sniff it for themselves and make it a trip to Negeri Sembilan wherever
yeah,
you are.
yeah. I would really want to. I'm from Negeri Sembilan myself, so I really look forward to really meet you face to face if possible. Will there be any new release? Any more? Will there be any more release coming up this year until December? Will there be a
Um,
Christmas surprise for us?
I hope so. I hope there will be. But it all depends on whether we get to end the lockdown or not. Because for as long as the lockdown is on, then it's very difficult for me to get some supplies. Because, like for example, our artisans in Perak cannot open their workshop to make the boxes. So, but for as long as the no, sorry, if the lockdown is open again, I mean, we can all get out to work and so on. So then yes, I hope to release maybe one or two more by December.
All right. So now, for those of you who are watching later, we have learned a little bit more about Malay perfumery and also the perfumer of the house. If you wish to try the perfumes, you can go to their website or look them up on shop. Definitely leave a link in the description box later on. So, is there anything you would want to add some more, madam?
I just want to thank you, Andy, for this opportunity. I think this is the first video interview. Before this is all, just like on the.
This is my first time too.
Okay, so thank you. You've been a wonderful host. Um, Hopefully, it's all the best to you as well, and also to
Yeah,
everyone else.
yes, true. Thank you, madam, for joining us today. I wish you success in the future in all your endeavors, in all your efforts in putting out amazing scents to the world.
Same
Thank you
here.
so much.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.